We begin with updates on the Baltimore bridge collapse. Divers will be returning to the water surrounding the twisted ruins of the bridge that came crashing down in Baltimore after a cargo ship rammed into it on Tuesday. The search operation, which was suspended on Tuesday, will resume as a recovery operation of 6 workers now presumed dead. All 6 workers were members of a nighttime construction crew who were repairing potholes on the Francis Scott Key Bridge when the cargo ship struck.
As I said, we have to cease operations. We can't start again until we can assure the safety of those divers and the rescue personnel that are going to participate in this. If we look at how challenging it is at a simple motor vehicle crash to extract an individual, I'm sure we can all imagine how much harder it is to do it in inclement weather, when it's cold, under the water, with very limited to no visibility. But we're going to do everything in our power to help these families find closure.
Workers pulled 2 other workers from the water alive, and one of them was hospitalized in critical condition. Now, the search was suspended on Tuesday as authorities said the temperatures and currents made it difficult for divers to continue working underwater. However, boats continued patrolling overnight.
Responders, I'm in awe of you. I'm in awe of your courage. I'm in awe of your strength. I'm in awe of everything you do for each and every one of us. You saw a crisis and you said, what can I do to help? And our response teams are doing everything in our power to rescue and recover the victims of this collapse, literally as we speak. People who, as we speak, are out there are divers, are air assets. People who right now are working to save lives and are doing it because the state asked. I think, well, the investigation is still going on to find out exactly how many people in what situation. But the thing that we do know is that many of the vehicles were stopped before they got onto the bridge, which saved lives in a very, very heroic way.
And to recap this horrible tragedy, shortly after 1 a.m. Eastern Time, a container ship named Dali, a Singapore flag ship, was sailing down the Potholes River on its way to Sri Lanka. And at 1:24 a.m., it suffered a total power failure and all of its lights went out. 3 minutes later, at 1:27 a.m., the container ship appeared to hit a main concrete pier, which is part of the structural foundation of the bridge. Now, the bridge crumbled into the icy water, sending vehicles and people into the river. Video footage shows the vessel slamming into the bridge in total darkness. Now, experts say the design of the bridge contributed to its collapse.
It was a very large container ship, and so given the fact that it impacted that pier just apparently from the videos head on, I'm not surprised. The bridge is designed to span a certain distance. It relies on those supports. If one of those supports is gone, of course, bridges are constructed with factors of safety, but not that kind of factor of safety. It seems to me that the bridge itself, the superstructure, was not the issue. The issue was that it wasn't, the pier itself wasn't designed to resist that large of an impact load from the vessel.
However, a much bigger disaster was averted in Baltimore, and that's because the ship reported a power failure before impact, which enabled officials to stop traffic on the bridge before its actual collapse. Now, the 948-foot vessel experienced a momentary loss of propulsion, and reports say it dropped anchor as part of its emergency procedure before impact. U.S. President Joe Biden said the Coast Guard responded quickly to the Mayday call and commended the prompt action of Maryland transportation officials. He also promised to visit Baltimore as soon as possible.
The bridge collapsed, sending several people and vehicles into the water, into the river, and multiple U.S. Coast Guard units, which are stationed very nearby, thank God, were immediately deployed along with local emergency personnel. And the Coast Guard is leading the response to the port, where representatives from the Federal Highway Administration, the FBI, the Department of Transportation, the Army Corps of Engineers, as well as Maryland officials and Baltimore Police and Fire, are all working together to coordinate an emergency response. And to the people of Baltimore, I want to say we're with you. We're going to stay with you as long as it takes. And like the governor said, you're Maryland tough, you're Baltimore strong, and we're going to get through this together. And I promise we're not leaving. It's my intention that federal government will pay for the entire cost of reconstructing that bridge. And I expect the Congress to support my effort.
Now, the ship that caused the collapse was also involved in an accident in the port of Antwerp in Belgium back in 2016. Antwerp port authorities said that the container ship Dali hit a quay as it tried to exit the North Sea container terminal. An inspection that same year found that the container to have structural issues. Now, port authorities said the ship had remained at the dock for repairs after the incident. However, Singapore's port authority says that the ship passed 2 overseas inspections just last year. In fact, it added that a faulty monitor gauge for the fuel pressure was in fact rectified in June. Now, while an investigation into the disaster is currently underway, federal investigators are waiting for recordings from the vessel, which they say could be critical to help determine what actually happened. The disaster has forced an indefinite closure of the port of Baltimore, and it may be some time before one of the busiest commercial hubs on the U.S. eastern seaboard can in fact reopen.